thing we want to answer today, the question is, can women have it all, right? For me, this question came up when I was younger. I think the first time I started thinking about this question was, if I'm being honest, probably when I was watching Bollywood interviews. I would watch actresses getting interviewed, and then during those conversations there would be, they were always asked, can you have your career and can you still have a family? Are you going to sacrifice your family? Are you going to sacrifice your career to have a family? And usually it was also true. Most of them, if you see in the earlier times when they would get married, their career would end. And so that was my first, I'd say, association of this question. After that, I think when I started working in the early years, and I started working when I was 19, so it was quite early while I was still studying, I think I started seeing that mirroring effect of that even in the corporate world. I saw, managers who were older than me. Once they were doing really well, once there was either marriage or especially when they had a child, either people were quitting, roles were changing. I could notice these things happening, and the question again was somewhere in my mind, right? Can women have it all? I went abroad then for a while to study and then to work. And I saw it wasn't just an India thing, it was something that was happening there as well. Maybe it looked a little different, but it was still happening. I saw people changing the scope of their role, some people moving to part time, in smaller ways, a lot of different things happening, which again brought up that question, can women have it all? In a lot of ways, much before I was a coach, much before I was a mom, this was something I was very passionate about. I think somewhere it probably came from my mom, who weirdly enough, strangely enough, started working very late in her life. So she didn't really have a career at all before marriage, or she got married really early, didn't really have a career when we were small. But when we were in school at about, maybe I was 10 or so, she started teaching and she started building a career, and enough to then, she was taking us on trips that we'd never taken before because we didn't travel before that, and things like that started happening. And I think I got really passionate about the idea that maybe it's possible, but to what extent is it? Like, a lot of those nuances started coming up. And I worked on it in a lot of different ways before I became a coach. I interviewed a lot of people in the corporate world in India, like Radhika Gupta, a lot of these women, even before they had kids, to understand, how are they tackling this issue or planning for it. And with all that information, when I became a coach, I said, okay, now is the time to focus on helping women find it all. But what does that mean? So I like explaining it with analogy of food. So think about it like you're entering a buffet, right? Hotel, you've gone for a holiday, which I'm sure, since we're all moms here, I don't know what you're imagining, but think of it, you're alone and you're entering this buffet, okay? And then there's lots of different cuisines. You have Chinese, you have Italian, you have a lot of different things being served there. Different women are walking in, right? Imagine all of you here. Someone will want just to fill their plate with Chinese. It's just their favorite cuisine. They don't want anything else, and just makes them happy, right? Someone else wants a little of everything. They want to taste a little bit of everything, and that's just how they like it. Someone else maybe wants to have the starters and the dessert and skip main course, and someone else just wants main course and doesn't want the starters and dessert. And maybe someone else doesn't want the dessert entirely because they're not a sweet tooth, and they just want to have the main dishes. My point of saying this is life is a lot like that as well, right? For us to answer the question of can you have it all, we need to talk about what is all. And I think for a long time, it's been very standardized. And I think that does a lot of damage because there's just a definition out there, which is very loosely you lose. Like if you work and you have kids, that's probably having it all, right? It's very loosely used that way. So I think the first thing becomes pausing and defining what is all for you. And if we think about this buffet that we were talking about again, in this context, and I love that there was a conversation right before this about self care, there is a lot of things that those cuisines can stand for, right? You can have one aspect of it, that is work and finances. Another could be your marriage. Another could be your kids. Another could be the rest of your family. Another could be friendships. Then there is self care. There is health. There is maybe you like looking after how you look. There is I don't know, in terms of maybe a hobby. Someone likes, like was rightly said before, someone likes to dance or write or sing. So there's so many different travel, different areas that make for these components that could be present in a buffet. So I think it's important, before saying can I eat this, to say what is my all, what does my plate look like, and accept that not all our plates need to look the same. I think that's the first thing we need to do. uh, and also accept that in different phases of our life as a woman and as a mom, it would look different again. So be okay with sitting down and redefining what that all looks like for you at different phases of your life. And I'll try to make this real by talking about what that is for me right now. For example, as Lakshmi mentioned, I have a 20-month-old this Sunday. He's not yet 20 months. I'm going to hold on to that. And what my all looks like right now, my two biggest priorities are right now, my son is my biggest priority. He's really small. He needs a lot of me, and I want to be present for a lot of his growing up. And my work, because it's something I'm super passionate about, and also contributing to my family financially is important to me. So those are my two big buckets. That's very important for me right now. Then my health, for example, important to me, but let me go into a nuance. It is very important to me, but it looks different than it did before in my version of it all. It's not important enough for me to work out every day, which used to be the case. If I can get, but it is important enough for me that I need to get those one or two workouts in the week, and that's what it looks like in my all right now. So I need that little bit of it in my week, and I need to eat right when I can, most of the time. So it looks different. It looks like strength training, so I can carry my son. Which I never did in my 20s. It's something that I did yoga or dance, something I enjoy. Now it's more strength training, right? So why am I talking about this? Is it's that nuance thing. I'll give you one, two more examples so that you can maybe co-create this in your head. Friendships are very important to me. They still don't look like exactly what they would look like in my 20s, right? Before I was a mom. They look like prioritizing time with my girlfriends when I can, but I leave every place early. Sleeping is very important for me. I have realized that if I don't get sleep, which of course in the first year was the case, I can't do everything else. I can't do my big buckets. I can't be the mom I want to be in the best version. I can't be the professional I want to be in the best version I want to be, right? Hi, Hina. I can see a little baby on the screen, which is very nice to see.
Yeah, hi.
Oh, great. So that's my definition of what my all looks like right now, like a little sneak peek into what my all looks like. So the first thing that I say is sit down and define what does your all look like right now, and go this nuance. Take each component, first figure what all the components of your life are, then take each component of your life and define what that looks like to you right now. What version of all is it right now, right? This is the first part of the work, which is what I call the awareness. There are two ways that are really important in this journey. There's awareness and there's action. Okay, this is the first part, awareness, which is finding and defining what is your version of having it all right now. That takes us to the next version, which is action. That's the second A that is very important. So, of course, even once you figure out, like I figured out, this is what's important to me right now, making it happen, as we all know, is not as easy as just saying it out loud. It takes a lot of different things in place to make this happen. I won't go into all of them because, again, we'll be here all day. But I'll talk about three pillars that I have seen with myself as well as with a lot of moms that I coach as a very common pillars to making this having it all work. Okay, let's talk about the first one. The first one is support. Okay, and this looks different for everybody. So when we talk about support, it's talking about taking a stock of where you stand with financial support. Are you a single mom and you're taking care of the finances of the house completely? Do you have a partner who's earning as much as you? Do you have a partner who's decided to take more of a lead in finance? These are very practical questions that need to be answered, right? So financial support is one kind of support. Next support is childcare, and that again looks like a different thing for different people. Are you living with family? Are you living separately? Do you have a nanny? Do you have daycare? Uh, do you have friends who also have kids, and there are certain things you can do together? What does your support system, immediate support system, look like? Because that's going to play a role in how you plan your action plan, right? Another thing after support. So support is really important. Spoke about financially, spoke about childcare and emotional support. After that, it's also in support the modern village, which not a lot of people get into, but the modern village looks different than it did before. We don't have the traditional village, at least in India, the way it used to be in raising kids, where all the kids are just together and somehow they're being brought up, and 10 years later, they're all 10 or 12. So a lot of that it looks different today, right? So, what does it look like for you? As I said, how are you living? Why are you living with family? What's your relationships with family? I think Lakshmi pointed out very important. If you don't have good relationships with, for whatever reason, sometimes it's worse to have that childcare than not because of the mental energy, right? So again, the situation looks different for each person. Understand what it's like for you. And the modern village is, are you going through postpartum? Do you need a therapist to be part of your village? Do you Are you struggling to figure your work life balance and your goals, and where the sense do you need to work with a coach? Do you need a fitness trainer? You know what I mean? It's part of the modern life that we live, and it's part of the modern village we need to build for ourselves, and that becomes an important part in the action. So that was a little bit about the first pillar, which is support. The second pillar that also comes up a lot is time management. You might have heard the word a lot. I think something, if I had to define one skill that has helped me most in my work life balance after becoming a mom, is the fact that I had become good at time management before I became a mom. I think that's something that really helped. I sit down with my clients to do this a lot, where we have to think about things like, and I'll give you just a few pointers. Think about things like prioritization, right? What is important this week? If everything is important, nothing is important. If everything is urgent, nothing is urgent. So figuring out what the priorities look like every week, every month, and broadly every year as well. Sitting down with your calendar. It's my favorite thing. You Some people have. I think if you watch Friends, Harmonica would love to clean the house. For me, I get the same satisfaction when I sit with a mom and clean up her calendar. I just love what it feels like after, because almost always the conversation starts with, "There's nothing I can move. Everything needs to be done. There's no time to get anything else done." And then we slowly go into it, and we find sometimes you're focusing, and again, that was a topic that came up in the previous conversation. Sometimes you're spending time on things that maybe are not as important or should not be as important, right? Uh, I'll give you an example, even just taking work without even going into the personal space. Many times I sit with women and I look at their calendars. I'm like, if your aspiration is this in 1 year, the tasks that you are spending time on are not going to get you there. So why are we spending time on these tasks and saying we don't have time for that promotion, or we don't have time for that side hustle, right? It's about reprioritizing the calendar. So that becomes really important as well. And it's not just time management in this, it's also energy management, which becomes big. You will always notice that there are certain activities you do. Everyone's moms here, I think you'll notice this. Sometimes you could be exhausted and you can't do anything else, but you play with your kid for 1 hour and you still have the energy to do it. And somehow you feel less tired after that hour than you did before that hour. Right. And that's because of energy management. When we look at the calendar together, we also look at energy drainers and energy givers. You want to have lot of moms, so many calendars I've worked with, and I see so many energy drainers into that calendar. It's not just about the fact that you're spending 1 hour doing this and 1 hour doing that. It's about the fact that you spent 1 hour on something that has left you more drained after that than you were, as opposed to spending 1 hour doing something that you're so passionate about with work that you actually feel more invigorated after that, right? So time and energy management becomes a thing. A last pillar that I'll talk to you about is mindset. Okay, this is also very important, and there's a lot I can say here, but I'll only talk about two things. One is belief systems. So this is also something that I prioritize working on, which is we all have a belief system that we've got through, of course, childhood, then through school, through college, through friends, through corporate, and everything else that we've seen. And we have beliefs around everything. We have beliefs around money. We have beliefs around motherhood. We have beliefs around work. These beliefs dictate our actions. If there's anything that dictates your action, it's what you believe. So when we go back to the question of can you have it all, if your belief system innately is not really, like, people can talk about it, but it doesn't really happen in the real world, that's going to impact the actions you take, right? And similarly, that's for every small thing. If your belief system is, if I have just 20 minutes in the middle, nothing can get done in those 20 minutes, let's not, it's going to impact that what you do with those 20 minutes, right? If your belief system is me sleeping half an hour early is not going to change my life, I'm not going to do it. So those are things that become really important. So really sitting down and digging deep into, I think what was spoken of in the last session as well, your identity, how you see yourself, the belief systems around work, around money, around relationships, a lot of different things. Identifying them and rewiring them where required becomes very important to change your actions, to change your reality. Okay? The last thing on the mindset, apart from beliefs, is how do you talk to yourself? And this is so important. When you make a mistake at work, what do you tell yourself? When you when you forget to do one thing for your child, maybe you forgot there was this costume to be sent to school that day. What are you telling yourself in that moment? How you speak to yourself again defines your actions, because imagine yourself as your child. As moms, it's the best way to think about it. Imagine your child did that thing, and if you are going to be telling your child you're useless, you're not good enough here, you're not even good enough there, you forgot, how could you forget about this, you did this, your child is going to shut off and not do it, right? We talk so much about gentle parenting and what we should be telling our children with emotional intelligence. Apply it to yourselves in those moments and observe how you talk to yourself and start trying to change that, which is again something that's important to work on. I think that's all I'm going to leave you with. We can definitely have a discussion if you have questions. And in the meantime, I'll also just share my screen here so that in case you want to find me, of course, you can.
So thank you so much, Krusha. That was absolutely fantastic. And I loved how you went deep into the time management aspect. When you're talking about having it all, um, we all have 24 hours. Wish there was a way that we could buy extra time, but we cannot. And we have to make everything happen in this 24 hours while taking care of ourselves, which can become quite a challenge. And I loved all your pointers. If anybody has anything to add, unmute, turn on your camera, feel free to
Yes, please.
join in. We love conversation, and I've been kind of nudging everybody. It's a home. It's like a club. It's like
yes.
a circle. If we don't do this, where will we go? Share. So feel free to join in the conversation and talk to Krusha.
See things on the chat. Yeah.
Yes,
Anyone who wants to unmute and talk, please go ahead. There's no question that is small in any way.
Really nice start with you, ma'am. We hope we are expecting too much. Thanks a lot for educating us towards something we want to achieve and something we want to see in a bigger version.
Thank you so much, Anna. I'm glad it could add some value.
Thank you so much.
Krusha, Lukmita here.
Hi, Lakmita.
Yes. I've been working with a lot of mothers, and great insights, which I can really pass on to all the mothers.
I'm so
And
happy to hear that.
yes, something like a different dimension altogether.
Mm-hmm.
And like post delivery, they
Mm-hmm.
all have the things in mind, whatever you spoke right now. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, the support system and everything that you spoke will really help, all the mothers. So I'll definitely pass on your words. Thank you
That's the
so
best
much.
thing to hear. It's a ripple
Yes,
effect that we want to create. So I'm very happy to
yes,
hear
yes.
that.
And also for ourselves, also for ourselves, because we
Always
tend to
start
forget
there.
it. Yes, yes, yes. Mainly with ourselves, rather. Yes. Thank you so much and all the best.
Thank you so much, Lakunda. All the best to you, and I'm very excited to hear about all the work that you're doing as well with mothers.
Yes, yes, yes.
Hi.
Thank you. Thank you, Krusha. I'm Anuradha.
Hey.
Actually, my husband is in army. So we
Oh,
keep
wow.
moving places in India. And there's like, we have a lady, women organization inside the army, that is our welfare organization. So we keep helping and counseling the families of our soldiers, because sometimes they families live alone. So whatever takeaways today I'll share with my families, it's a great thing for me, because time to time I need different persons perspective about women life and their time
Mhm.
management and their uh, like respect and everything. So like sometimes our families, they live alone because their husband is on border area and serving the nation. So it's a good thing. And thank you so much for
That's
whatever you.
amazing, Anuradha. You're doing incredible work, bigger than any of us are as well. So thank you for that. And if the fact that this message can reach those women, I mean, there's nothing more I'd like to take away from today. So I'm
And
glad.
definitely for me also, because sometimes I also I'm a mother of two grown-up children, like 18 years old and
Wow.
so I also suffered the same thing when my husband was in like border area and like in Kashmir and in, China
Yeah.
border on this thing. So I also like required this kind of session to motivate me. And time management, yes, that is very important when I live alone with my kids and my
Yeah.
uh, career and work. So that was we need to this kind
I
of.
hope the way you're talking to yourself includes telling yourself that you're really proud of what you're doing and that you're doing incredible work, because
Yeah,
that's what I think any of us would want to tell you.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Trisha, I had one thing to ask though. Lovely, hearing you speak firstly. I want to say, do you have a take in your experience so far? Of course, let's go with your experience.
Hmm.
You have a take on mom guilt?
I love that word as
I
much as I hate it. Yeah.
yeah.
My personal take is I feel 10% of it will always be there. I think it just comes with the territory. So I think we shouldn't aim for zero mom guilt. I think when you care about something as much as you care about being a mother, it's not possible to not have some amount of guilt associated with that. Though I don't like the word guilt, but let's call it that. You'll have some amount of that. For the other part, my take is, when honestly, when I get asked, do I have mom guilt right now? Most of the time, the real answer is I don't. I might have, like I said, that small amount. But why I don't is because when you do that work of asking yourselves what is the priority right now and what is the support system and how you're talking to yourself, for me what that looks like is when I'm working right now, I'm working, I'm not with my son right now in this moment. I don't have mom guilt for two reasons, three reasons actually, and I'll name them. For me, the three reasons are: one, I did spend a good quality time with my son today, so it was important for me to have that, to not feel like I'm missing out, right? That is number one. He had me for a good amount of the day when he needed me. Number two, uh, I am genuinely passionate about the work I'm doing. That's one part. I feel like it's creating some impact somewhere, which I hope that my child would like when he grows up and be like part of something like this. And even if not that, because we never know, but even if not that, I am financially contributing to his life. And I feel like my financial contribution right now means more or adds more value to him than me spending 20% more time with him. And the third thing for me is he's with family. So he's right now, for example, at this moment, he's with my parents, who are thrilled to have him. Some of my best memories of my childhood have been with my grandparents, and I feel like he gets to create those for himself now. So that's the reasons why not. So to answer your question, I help also when we sit down with moms to do this. I try to get them to create their own version of these dialogues, because then that helps you get over this. Because if we leave it to what we are listening to, there's so much noise out there, and then we apparently need to feel guilty for anything, doing anything, because either way there's no winning. You If you look for it, you'll be told to be guilty that you're not contributing, you're just home with the kids. You'll be told to feel guilty that you're contributing, you're not with the kids. So anyway, there's no winning. So find your own version of like these reasons that genuinely make sense to you, and then I think that eliminates most of it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, hi Krusha, this is Hina.
Hey Hina.
Yeah, hi. So I just want to add one point in the mom's guilt thing. So what my motivation is, right? Because I'm a girl child mom. So what I feel, if I have done all my studies and career, and if I will give up just to take care of my child, what will be her role model? She will, a girl child, she will think, what's the use of studying and making all the career, when, because once you end up having a
Yeah.
children, you will have no career. Or if you want to have a career, you don't have to have a child, which
Hmm.
nowadays many women have the mindset. So that's my motivation, that have a child, and and try to the best thing, have a supporting partner, and encourage yourself and do it just for your child. I think that will make you more
I love
stronger,
that
not
so
for
much. Thank
yourself.
you for sharing that, Hina. That's so important. Two things that you said there that I want to go deeper on, because I think they're great points. One, you said having a supportive partner, which I think is definitely, it's a huge bonus. I always tell women that one of the most important career decisions of your life is who you're going to marry. Um,
Exactly.
the second thing that you said with on role models, you're doing a great job, and I want to share that from my experience on the other side, being a child. When I was a child, my mom, like I said, started working when I was in school. I remember I had moments sometimes, and where not a lot of my friends' moms used to work, and I had one or two moments very clearly where I must have told her, like, you're not there to make that meal for me, or I'm sure I had those 2 3 moments where I did it.
Okay.
um, but innately I was super proud of it, and I think it's because of the fact that she could do that and turn it around in a way where she didn't even have resources that I have today. I definitely think it's been one of the compelling factors for me to be doing all the work I'm doing today. So I'm sure you're on the right track.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, sorry.
No
She
worries. You
also
don't have
wants to speak
you don't
whenever
have to
I want to speak.
apologize. Even when I'm doing coaching sessions, I meet a lot of my mom's kids on the call. So this
It's
is
a
Yeah.
normal for me.
everyone's welcome, kids are welcome. We're all understanding kids are welcome.
If
And
not here,
it
then
kind of
when?
brightens up the whole mood too, to hear this little baby voice. So yeah, Rashmi, Anand, you had to share something.
Yeah, I think I'll just add up to what Hina and Krusha just mentioned. Children are never a deterrent to mom's career. It is what we talk about, that guilt factor.
Mhm.
Sometimes, that comes in and drops that little message, we are not doing enough. But then, how you, as you mentioned, if you have a very supportive partner, very categorically a partner, you would be able to maneuver all those challenges and be able to walk through. And then what Hena mentioned, it's the immediate family, which is a role model. And Krusha, I come from your fraternity as an ICF coach myself, so understanding from your perspective of what you're trying to tell is, it's all a mindset. At
Yes.
times, we our beliefs, our belief system, what we hang on to. And I think this, Lakshmi, the kind of forum you've created is like, we are just going back and questioning our mindset, and be able to, with Krusha's insights and a lot of these discussions, cross discussions, will be able to come out of that. And then you will have, you become a better fraternity and kind of a community that supports each other. So looking at it in a very positive way. So I think it's a real good, very good discussion, I think.
Thank you so much. That means a lot because honestly, it's a lot of work. But when I hear something like that, again, it kind of, it gives me the strength to carry on, because getting the right people to have this important conversation, and authentic people, that's been my big thing, like really finding people with strong voices, where we can shake things up and really dig deep, because there's things that's not spoken about, and our effort is for us, the more we talk, the more we create such conversation. If we only help somebody else somewhere, and as Krusha was saying, there isn't one way that works. Now, I always say that, what works for me might not work for you, and what works for you might not work for someone else. It's just about all of us together finding what works for us with our ecosystem that we have. And that's when we can really create a beautiful family and a life that we really want, because you don't get second chance in life. This is our chance, this is our time, and we're literally investing into it. We don't realize it, but we'll see it when we are like probably 80-year-old, and we'll be like, oh my God, I wish I did few things differently, but then it'll be too late. That's why our effort is to make sure that we kind of do right things, so when we are older we can look back and be proud of what we did. So thank you so much, Krusha. There's more to talk. I just wish, I'm so excited. But that's why I want to, by the way, all of you who are here in Bangalore or even elsewhere, we are having conference this weekend. That's our effort to see each other, because even the online, I love it as much. It's great to have this conversation, but nothing like that vibration of having all the mothers under one roof. That excites me. So let us know, whoever is here, do join in. We have some fun plans. We also have a comic, we call it Momic, and we're going to be kind of having a lot of fun jokes and everything. And
that looks very cool, by the way, Lakshmi. I saw her reel and it was so funny already.
Funny, the reel was hilarious, and I was like, man, that's like
so
totally
relatable. Yeah.
So we're excited. So whoever's here, make sure you come on board. And we don't make any money with what we do. In fact, we spend money to do it. It's just we have people buy their own food. That's the main thing. That's why I'm like, I had to put that disclaimer out there. This is purely out of love for it. And with all the effort, and my team's also been working really hard to pull everything together. So thank you so much.
Mompower360, an empowering community for moms just like you and me.